From luxury to persecution, Mus'ab ibn Umair came from one of the wealthiest and most respected Quraysh families. He enjoyed luxury, the finest food, drink, and expensive clothing, and his face was known to be bright and pleasant. However, he secretly accepted Islam and pledged obedience to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He kept his conversion secret mainly to avoid distressing his mother and provoking the Quraysh, fully aware of their hatred for the new faith. When the news of his conversion leaked, Mus'ab's parents could not reconcile with it. They disowned him, and instead of luxury, he faced persecution. The Quraysh subjected him to torture, starvation, thirst, and flogging. But he had already tasted the sweetness of faith and remained firm. He became poorer and more wretched than the poorest man. He was forced to leave his home and make the hijrah to Abyssinia. When he returned from Abyssinia, people barely recognized him. His skin had roughened, his face had darkened, and his once expensive clothes were replaced by patched sheepskin. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, seeing him, told the companions, "Look at this man whose heart Allah has illuminated with his light. Love for Allah and His Messenger has brought him to this state you see now." The first missionary of Islam. After years of persecution, Muslims again made the hijrah to Abyssinia. But Mus'ab chose to return to the side of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, following him like a shadow in Mecca. During this period, the people of Medina from the Aws and Khazraj tribes concluded the first pledge of Al-Aqaba in Mecca. They returned to Medina and began teaching others about Islam. However, they soon realized they needed someone with a deeper knowledge of the Quran and religious jurisprudence. They requested the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to send them a teacher. Mus'ab ibn Umair was chosen and sent to Medina as the first missionary of Islam in the world. His tireless work and persistent persuasion led to a result where hardly a single house in Medina was left without a Muslim. Before the arrival of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Mus'ab even led the first Jumu'ah prayer there. Bravery at Badr and martyrdom at Uhud. When the time came for the great hijrah of all Muslims to Medina, Mus'ab was one of the first muhajirun, emigrants. 2 years later, at the Battle of Badr, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam entrusted him with carrying the main white standard. Mus'ab proved himself a true mujahid, fighting in the way of Allah. At the Battle of Uhud, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam entrusted the banner to him once more. Mus'ab stood firmly by the Prophet, despite the disarray in the Muslim ranks. The Quraysh warrior, Ibn Qamiyah, attacked him and severed both his hands with a sword. Mus'ab, with both arms cut off, firmly embraced the banner to his chest, refusing to let it fall until Ibn Qamiyah pierced him with a spear. Mus'ab fell dead to the ground, but the standard remained held high and fluttering. After the battle, Mus'ab ibn Umair lay among the martyrs. When the companions tried to shroud him, they had only a small piece of cloth, insufficient to cover both his head and feet. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded that his face be covered and his feet be concealed with palm leaves. Standing by his fallen standard-bearer, the Prophet recited the Quranic verse, "Among the believers are men who have been true to their covenant with Allah. Some of them have fulfilled their vow by dying in His cause, and some are still waiting, but they have not changed their intention in the least."